Hi, thanks for watching the Game Focus post E3 wrap up. My name is Brenden. I'm joined here with DJ from the site and Nolan. I hope you guys are ready for our opinions, our thoughts on what E3 was, how we rated each company's performance, and our thoughts in general on the games and the big announcements that we heard. E3 ended just a week ago, and I'll get right off to the races. We'll start with recapping Microsoft's performance. What did you guys think of it?
Well, I think number one is I thought it was a good idea that Phil decided let's focus 100% on games. We didn't get any of the superfluous other information about the system. I mean, we got all that last year, and we just wanted to know about games. My problem overall with the Microsoft presentation was I didn't learn enough about games that was strictly to Microsoft. I wanted to know why I need this machine as opposed to a PS4, and I don't think Microsoft gave me that answer.
I agree. I think they played it exactly as they should for this E3. They just focused on games, but how many of them were memorable that they announced? Sunset Overdrive and the Halo collection. Those are the only ones that kind of stood out. The rest, and that independent one by the creators of Limbo. Inside. Yeah, yes. That looked amazing too. But other than that, there's nothing that stood out that kind of wowed me, thinking that I got to go out and get an Xbox, at least in 2015. I actually was a little disappointed that they didn't put any focus on Kinect. I kind of thought maybe there would be something they snuck in there that's like, wow, maybe a Kinect is something that makes Xbox worth it as well. But I think they played it right. I don't think there was anything too memorable about it.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised with the lack of probably 2015 content. A lot of it seemed to be more or less titles geared towards the end of this year. We didn't really see we didn't see anything of the next Halo. We saw Sunset Overdrive. We didn't see the next Gears of War, which they have talked about. I was a little disappointed with that. I was expecting perhaps a little bit more in terms of exclusive content. A lot of it was, stuff that we will be seeing on the PlayStation 4 as well. I was a little upset that they didn't talk a lot about Kinect as well. I mean, I was one of the early adopters of the Xbox One, so I have one of those almost useless contraptions sitting on top of my TV right now. That said, I did think they had a pretty good conference. I did like what they did show. I did like Sunset Overdrive a lot. I think that is a really cool looking game. And I do think that they have a better 2014 lineup than any other company right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Sunset Overdrive has some of that kind of level of fun that maybe Nintendo tends to bring to the table more often than Microsoft and Sony. I also think it's Oni and the Blind Forest was something that I wasn't aware of before the Microsoft press conference, and that really looked to be kind of like the sort of Japanese game that you would only get on a PlayStation back in the, that's something I would expect from a PlayStation 2, but not on the original Microsoft. And so I was really surprised with that title.
Yeah, I really like the indie support. I mean, I had that kind of collage of indie titles up. It didn't really give a lot of details on them. That said, I mean, I thought it was at least they almost mentioned no indie titles at last E3. Besides from below, which I always thought, one of the reasons I bought an Xbox 360 was for their indie titles, for Braid, for those first-time exclusive, games that you won't get on the PS3, or you wouldn't get on the PS3 for at least a couple months. So, I was a little disappointed last year when I saw that, but I'm glad they kind of, changed that this year.
They also snuck in that first mention of Mass Effect 4 that nobody else got, which was, or the next Mass Effect, they like to call it, not Mass Effect 4, but that's pretty exciting with the roaring Krogan. That was nice that they got that, but would have liked to have seen more of it.
Yeah, I think that's the way I feel about a lot of the titles I saw at E3. I feel like, I would have been excited to see more.
And they hedged pretty heavy on Call of Duty. And yeah, I mean, that's something we know is coming every year, and that's simply not something I wanted to see.
I don't want to go off on a tangent, but it didn't look any different than any other shooter, any other Call of Duty. Nothing unique about it. And how many arms can somebody lose in that? The arm was the focus for the whole video. The guy getting his arm caught, then jumping out, and then the other guy losing his arm.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, it looked the same. I mean, and how many times are we going to do the advanced techno war? I mean, they basically just done it. This will be the third time in a row. Black Ops 2, Ghosts, and now this. All of them take place in the quasi future. Yeah. All of them have, special technical advances here and there, but it just seems a little stale. I almost want to go back 60 odd years back to World War II. But I guess let's wrap up Microsoft, and we'll score it out of 10. We'll start with you, DJ. How would you think out of a score of 10 was Microsoft?
I thought it was pretty ho-hum. I think that maybe they deserve just a 6 for the conference, and I judge these sort of things by my level of anticipation after the conference, and I'm not a whole lot excited. I still have my grumpy face that I had on before the conference.
Mm-hmm. And Nolan?
I would give it. I'd probably give it a 7, 7.5. I thought they played it as they should have. No mention of Kinect. No mention of the changes that they've made in the last month about losing Kinect or about the apologies from last year's conference. They played it well. Just nothing memorable out there. Nothing that makes me want to. Oh, this is the system. This is the year for it, or 2015 is the year for it. So 7, 7.5.
Yeah, I'm going to be right in the middle of you guys probably. I'm going to be like a 7, a solid 7. I thought they played it well. They played it conservative. The fact that they didn't mention Kinect seems like they were more scared to mention it than anything else. I would have liked to have seen more of what's in store in the future. But that said, I mean, I do think they have one of the best 2014 lineups, and I'm happy for that, at least. At least they have that right now, and hopefully they can build from that. And I'll be interested to see what they have at Gamescom.
Halo Collection is going to make them a lot of money, I bet. I can't.
Oh, I do think that it will. I think it'll sell a ton. I think everyone who has an Xbox One will buy it for sure. Absolutely. So let's switch gears a little bit. We'll talk about now PlayStation or Sony. See how Sony's conference. They had a lot to live up to. Last year they knocked it right out of the park. I'll start with you, DJ. What did you think of Sony's conference?
Well, after knocking it out of the park, I think that they fell pretty flat this year. Yeah. I think it was very similar to Microsoft. They relied so heavily on their exclusive content with Destiny. That was, the big thing they were hedging their bets on. And really when it comes down to, we didn't really learn much of what that exclusive content is. There's the alpha and the beta access. But other than that, I mean, really when the game comes out, no one at Sony told me why I should be playing Destiny on a PS4 as opposed to an Xbox One. And if they're going to hedge their bets so heavily on that game, that's what I really wanted to see. There was a couple of games that did pique my interest. It was Azru from the makers of Journey. Did I get that name right?
No, I'm not sure, actually.
Yeah. So from the makers of Journey, another kind of majestic, very quiet game, introspective, no giant HUD and flashing lights on all over the place. Something like that, very much interested in. There's also, quite a few delays, which we heard about before, but when we just learned that 1886 The Order was being delayed, then that's so heavily dominant in Sony's press conference. I think that they should have put that a little more on the back burner and focus a little more on something that we're going to be playing in the near future.
Yeah. No. What about you, Nolan? Your thoughts on the Sony's?
Yeah, I agree with DJ. I thought they started out strong with that Destiny. They didn't speak too much on the specifics as why it's better on PlayStation 4. but they lost a lot of momentum. They started talking about PlayStation Now, which is pretty exciting now that they've kind of announced that it's coming to Canada, because originally they said there are no plans in the immediate future to announce anything in Canada. So that's exciting, because I think the one thing that gaming's missing now is the rental aspect. So that I'm really kind of excited about that. But then they lost momentum. Then they started talking about PlayStation TV, which is neat, but totally took the focus off games. And then they brought out Brian Michael Bendis.
Yeah.
And that's a great comic, but I don't think he was meant to come out there. It just killed momentum. And then they finished off strong with Batman and some of their other titles. Mortal Kombat 10, they did get some good games in there, but they just lost momentum in the middle, kind of lost me, lost focus, wasn't really interested anymore. And then they did bring me back, but
yeah, it reminded me, it was almost exactly the way, Microsoft's conference was the year before. There was a lot of talk about things other than video games. And I would have preferred that they stayed a little bit more on track. But even, the games that they talked about, their 2015 looks good.
Yeah.
But their 2014 looks really, weak right now. And a lot of the games that people were getting excited about with the PlayStation 4, Bloodborne, or Little Big Planet 4 or 3, whatever it is, those aren't games that really interest me that much. There wasn't really that one game that I watched that I saw other than The Order 1886 that I really wanted to play on a PlayStation 4. And that doesn't come out till 2015.
And with that Order demo, I was a little surprised. It was full of so much cutscene that I'm not sure how much gameplay you're actually going to get in The Order.
Yeah, it was all QuickTime events.
Yeah, so I was a little surprised by that. And sorry, it was Abzu, not Arzu.
Okay.
It was a memorable trailer with a non-memorable game name.
Yeah. Well, the big announcement too at their conference, which created a little bit of confusion, was the Grand Theft Auto 5 reboot, I guess, or remake, the HD. When I announced it, it appeared, or the way they said it, that it was going to be an exclusive. I was thinking, oh, well, that's a real coup. I can't believe they did that. But then, 5 minutes later on Rockstar's Twitter account or on their website, they announced that it was actually coming out on all 3 platforms, PC, Xbox One, and PS4. And that seemed to diminish a little bit of the excitement that I think that title generated. It just seemed, a lot of third-party and some first-party titles that I wasn't very excited about. Yeah. Now, if we
totally agree.
If we could score, how would we score it, Sony?
I was slightly more interested in what they have to offer, even though it's going to be a little further in the future. So I'd go with a 6.5 for Sony.
Okay. And Nolan?
I'd give it a 7 just because I'm excited about PlayStation Now and that absolutely insane Metal Gear Solid trailer.
Yeah, that was.
I had no idea what was going on, but it looked amazing. How many knives flashed in that?
Yeah. Hey, you never need to know what's going on with Hideo Kojima. It doesn't have to make sense. It's its own poetry. It's its own form of storytelling. Yeah, I'd have to say that I'd give Sony right there with Microsoft, which is a 7. Right down the middle. I felt that I really expected them to kind of, knock it out of the park again, but this time they didn't. They kind of, I think let a lot of their fan base down by doing so. And, they still have so much momentum, though, on their exclusive content and their titles. Some of their titles look really good. But I'm going to say that, for the most part, it was a weak show. Now, the next thing, probably one of the more, interesting conferences was Nintendo's. They weren't even at E3, really. They didn't give a traditional E3 press conference. They had their own, set aside conference that they did elsewhere. DJ, what did you think about Nintendo's?
For entertainment factor, they certainly won things. Reggie taking the fire flower and shooting fireballs at that guy in the front seat. Pure entertainment. And I really enjoyed that. And they poked a little fun at themselves saying, there's no Mario game. And so I thought that was going to be the harbinger that, we're going to see that Nintendo's branching out. We knew about Bayonetta 2, that, I thought this was going to be the news that we're going to get some new franchise on the Nintendo system. And once again, Nintendo kicked me in the gut and just went back to the same old that we've seen from at least the last decade. And Nintendo games are fantastic and I love them, but I have just as much fun playing Mario 64 as I do on anything that's come out on the Wii U. I have just as much fun playing Zelda on my Super NES than anything coming out on the Wii U. And you know, the new Yoshi game that had made out of yarn, I mean, it looked visually spectacular, kind of a Little Big Planet feel, and I really enjoyed that. But once again, that gameplay, that Nintendo 2D platforming, I want to see Nintendo spread its wings and actually innovate, which they used to do, instead of just recycle the same ideas and represent it on a new machine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't get over just people thinking, you know, oh, you know, we're going to see another F-Zero. And I'm just like, well, we saw F-Zero, you know, years before, you know, and we played it a lot. Do we really need it again? Nolan, what are your thoughts on Nintendo?
I'm going to go opposite with you, DJ. I loved it.
Okay.
I thought it was awesome. I thought I think we're going to see more companies go to this digital event because it's tight. They get their message across. I didn't even miss the lack of third party, which I complained about before. I do now that I think about back, but I thought it was tight. They got their message, seeing the new Zelda, and then them talking about potentially, they didn't use the word open world like Skyrim, but an open world Zelda going back to the original formula from the original Nintendo version. That's exciting. That fight between Reggie Fils-Aimé and Mr. Iwata had a lot of character to it. And you didn't mention it, but those amiibas, their version of Skylanders, I'm pretty sure that's a license to print money, and they need to attach that to a Pokemon game today, as soon as they can, because I think that's key. I think they're going to hit gold with that. Yeah. Collectors are going to love it. I think that's pretty amazing. I don't understand really how it works with Smash Brothers, but I think if they can attach it to something else, like a game built towards it, I think that's amazing. Mario Maker that's unique. Everybody wants to build their own Mario courses, and it's not a 3DS, it's Wii U. So I think that's a lot better than what we originally anticipated. I liked it. I thought they killed it. There wasn't any third party.
Yeah,
I thought it was good. I liked it better than the stage presentations.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Nolan. I think that Nintendo's conference really, was focused. Like you said, they knew exactly what they were trying to do. Their message was clear. That said, their message did, like DJ said, involve a lot of the same old, Nintendo, things we've seen before. And they really seem like they're almost trying to become more Disney, in a world where there is Universal and Sony Pictures, say Sony and say Microsoft. Nintendo is its own unique brand, and they love that. They relish it. They like the mythology of it. I would like to see them add more, but it almost seems like they've moved beyond that now. They just want these characters to be introduced to new generations every 5-10 years. I mean, kids today, they might never play Mario 64. They might not have the memories, but they will play the next Mario game that comes out. And we'll be thinking, well, it's the exact same mechanics that it's always been. This game hasn't changed. And it looks better, but, and I think that's kind of what they're going for, is just these are games for kids. And they do it better than anyone else.
They do, but I think if you look at Nintendo E3 conference, from any year, you don't even know what year it's from. The only clue is, how crisp the graphics are.
Yeah.
It's the same games, it's the same characters. The most refreshing thing I thought was the Xenoblade Chronicles, which they spent about 1 minute on, and I thought that looks like the Robotron cartoon that I used to watch when I was like 8 years old, and just giant robots shooting each other, and like a very anime/cartoon visual appearance. That's what I want to see on a Nintendo machine. I don't want to see Yoshi looking like a yarn ball.
I mean, I love the direction they took with Zelda, but I mean, yeah. Did it seem like it was being taken in a new direction? No.
A lot of people said it looked like that it might be a girl. They kind of dissipated that rumor. But I was actually excited at the thought of that maybe this game would actually star Zelda.
And that wouldn't be a bad thing.
But I thought when everybody was talking about it, I was like, that's kind of a neat idea. Maybe they're going a different way on that.
Well, I think that would be awesome, if they tackled at least a new perspective on a pretty tired old series. Even if it is the exact same characters that we've known for the past 20 years or more. How about we rate Nintendo now? How did Nintendo perform? Start with you, DJ.
I'm going to drop them a little lower than Sony and Microsoft. I'm going with a 5. I just wanted to see something new.
You were harsh on all these companies. You expected more, DJ.
I told you I've had this grumpy face since last week. Yeah. It's I felt it hard.
That's fair. Nolan.
I'm going to give them a 9 just because it was a tight presentation and they did it without any dystopian futures, no zombies, and no explosions.
Oh, no, that sounds great. I'm going to give them the highest score I have out of this round, 7.5. I mean, Zelda will always strike a chord with me. And Mario Maker, I think, if they market it right and they get those Wii U's into the hands of children, I think that has the potential to be an amazing title, kind of a transformative title. One of those games like Minecraft, if they do it right. If they don't, if they really celebrate the sense of creation, I think Nintendo seemed the most optimistic out of the lot that we had. They definitely had more of a focus, and I'm excited. I'm more excited for them than I was for Sony or Microsoft. Yeah. What
games are you guys most looking forward to that were announced? Is there one that you guys saw that you're like, I want to play that one pretty much today?
Well, I'm glad that the Dead Rising 3, I'm actually going to have to look up what the name of that was because it was the longest video game title ever.
That looked awesome. That's out now, too.
Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Mix Hyper Edition X Plus Alpha. Mind you, it was available the day of the E3 conference. And I must say I was pretty excited about it, but not excited enough that I've played it yet. But that had me pretty stoked. And, I was shocked, but the new Assassin's Creed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The
co-op?
Assassin's Creed's always had the free running, and you always felt you could go anywhere, but there was a new fluidity of movement that I really felt had been missing from any of the previous ones. And the new Assassin going through the palace at Versailles, just the way he moved with kind of like a feline, cat-like presence. I think I'm expecting big things from the new Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to maybe it's the Canadian in me, NHL 15. That looked awesome. And I'm always a sucker for those games. I'm one of those fools who buys them every year. But and I noticed, this one has better checking than last year.
That trailer was gameplay. It looks pretty good.
Oh, it looks amazing. I mean, just when I saw the puck floating in the air there, I was like, oh my goodness, that's gonna be me. I'll be buying that game in a second. So I'm most
last
excited.
Year's game was all checking. So
it was.
With improved checking.
Yeah,
wow.
Improved checking. Yeah.
Yes.
This time we check better.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm most excited for that, which probably tells more about this E3 than anything else. I didn't see that one game that made me go, oh yeah, I need a PlayStation 4. I need an Xbox One, because even the game, this is probably the second game that I'm looking forward to the most, Grand Theft Auto 5. The HD remake I've already played, but I mean it looks really impressive, and probably impressive enough that I'll want to play through again. But NHL 15 for me, for sure. And what about you, Nolan? What are you looking forward to?
I'd have to say it's a 4-way tie between The Witcher 3, the new Dragon Age, and the only exclusive title on my list is The Legend of Zelda, obviously, and that No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Did anybody see that? That looks pretty amazing. It's done by a team of 4 guys, and a lot of developers are saying it's the game that they always wish that they could make.
Yeah, that's really cool. When you get raves like that being made about your game, that's awesome. Yeah, it was an interesting E3. It definitely seemed. I mean, it was not what it was the year before, which the year before was so so much drama, so much excitement, so much hype. This year really seemed dull, and it really made me question, why. Is it worth it? Is it worth getting together, and celebrating like this? Are we celebrating anything, or are these just giant ads that, it's all white noise now? We're not really, seeing anything new or interesting, like we will say at other press events, other conferences throughout the year.
And how many of those games will actually be pushed back to 2016?
Well, and that's it too. That's it too, and you really begin to wonder, like, I almost I look at The Witcher 3 and I'm excited, but I almost am prepared in my heart to be like, yeah, I'm not going to be playing that for a while. I don't want to get excited about it yet. I'll save that for later.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about E3. But I think it was a great discussion, guys. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, related to our scores or any games that you're excited to, please leave it in the comments below. And thanks for watching.